What is the most terrifying thing you've ever experienced while home alone? Hi Reddit guys, subscribe now, or I will visit your at home when you are alone. I was about 21 or 22 and living by myself at the time, and I left my window open on a pleasant night. It was low enough to the ground that you could get in if you really tried, but the screen wasn't easy to take off and I lived in a fairly safe neighborhood, so I didn't even think twice about it. Woke up in the middle of the night because I smelled smoke, and I reached out to turn on my lamp and my hand hit what was very obviously a person. My brain fully woke up at that point, and I realized there was a shirtless man in my bedroom, smoking a cigarette and staring at me. I remember yelling for him to get out, and I must have spooked him just as badly as he spooked me, because he leapt out my window and took off. I slammed it shut and moved a bookcase in front of it, and when I went out the next morning in the daylight found the screen sitting against the house. Didn't sleep the rest of the night, and I haven't slept with a window more than cracked ever since. I also absolutely refuse to live on the ground floor of a building. I don't know if he was planning to rob me or rape me or both, but it was absolutely terrifying and makes me wonder how many times it happened and I didn't wake up. I plant barberry under first floor windows. You may still get in, but it'll cost you. When I was 19 in my first apartment, I had someone knock at the door. I looked through the peephole and saw this burly, heavy-set man who abruptly started screaming to let him in. He was screaming things like he was going to beat my ass and kick the door down if I didn't open. I called the cops, and as soon as someone got on the phone he started body slamming my door to break in. I was freaking out and crying as they quickly had 5 cops show up within 5+ minutes. As soon as he heard the sirens he quickly walked away and they met him at the bottom of the stairs. Apparently he was after the previous renter, but was extremely intoxicated. They arrested him and thankfully he never came back. I ended up breaking my lease and moving out 3 months later. It was in a very nice neighborhood, but it quickly made me wish I was back home with family, instead of being on the other side of the United States. My mum had something similar happen to her a year or so ago. She lives in a high rise and all the floors look identical in the hall. A drunk man tried to get into her apartment and started yelling and screaming at her to let him in. She called the building security, and they came to deal with him. He lived a couple of floors above her. I have been pretty fortunate based on these comments, but I was home alone one night while my wife and son were visiting my mill. I walked back to our bedroom to see someone rummaging through my son's room on the video baby monitor. Immediately grabbed my firearm and yelled to the other side of the house, "I am armed. Come out slowly." Over and over while slowly making my way back to his room. Got there, flipped on the light and, nothing. Searched the whole house, pumped full of adrenaline. Finally satisfied I was alone, I went back to my room and the guy was back in the room. I took a closer look and I am ashamed to say I was looking at myself. The camera is a live feed on our Wi-Fi and it was steaming on a huge delay. I have never known it to do that and it has not done it since. That's the best too long didn't read I've ever seen. That's some philosophical act right there. I am the intruder that lives in this house. This is a funny one. That would definitely be a heart drop seeing the guy back in the room after you 100% cleared your house. I seriously would have thought it was a ghost, and I don't even believe in ghosts. This is the best. I would have freaked. When I was like 14, I was home alone one night around 10 PM, stood in my kitchen making some cereal. It's dark outside and then all of a sudden the loudest sound. Some drunk woman literally launched a hammer through my kitchen window. Was so loud and glass was everywhere. I followed her down the street, whilst calling the police. Pretty strange. When I was young, I came home from a party in the middle of the night, when my dad were out of town. I started making a midnight quesadilla when I heard someone cough in the basement. I yelled and ran outside, and they took off through the backyard. Come to find out, my dad's ex-GF's daughter stole her key to our house and came to rob us. She was busted a couple years later doing this to her still. How were the midnight quesadillas? They thankfully didn't burn. The cheesy goodness was the best thing to combat the slight trauma. Asking the important questions here. Also my dad's ex-girlfriend's daughter. Who got stuck in the washing machine trying to steal it? One evening an explosion at a petrochemical plant, located a mile from my house, blew out the double window in my living room while I was in the room. I definitely thought we were being bombed until I remembered where I live. I had just let my dog out to the backyard and he was completely traumatized. For the following 2 months I had to carry him outside and sit in the grass with pieces of chicken just so he would potty. Explosion set reset on potty function. That's so scary. Very sweet that you took such good care of your dog afterwards. That takes a lot of patience. I lit 2 long taper candles for some ambience while I was playing guitar late at night. I was facing the other direction looking out the window while playing and shortly later turned around and went back towards the candles and discovered one of them was completely gone. The stand was still there, but no melted wax, just a bare candle holder, and the other one was still lit and no shorter than it was when I lit them. It was almost 3 AM and I was so terrified that I got in my car and left and drove to my dad's house. Out of plenty of things in this thread, this is one of the strangest. Neighbors were probably 1 candle short for their summoning. UK how it is. Took me a while to figure out how the United Kingdom is involved. Somebody tried to break into the house while I was by myself. The whole place was quiet and dark at nighttime. I walked past the front door to go upstairs for bed, and the handle suddenly started jerking around like the Hulk was trying to get in. Then whoever it was started to either kick or shoulder the door, and it was making the whole frame jiggle. I completely froze and my mind went blank. Just standing there like an idiot and staring. My dog bolted down the stairs like it was her time to shine, scrambled on the tile, and let loose the most vicious barks I've ever heard. Whoever it was left. She was a very good girl. I miss her. Once, my dad left the door unlocked while he went to pick me up from school. My mum was sitting on the couch and heard the door open. She didn't think much of it, because she was expecting us back, but then she heard the door bang open, hard, and our dog bolted for the opening. Someone yelled "Oh it" and clattered down the steps. She didn't even see who it was, since by the time she got to the door, they'd cleared the fence, and our little shepherd mix was left barking furiously at the gate. He didn't even make a noise until they were already gone, just went straight to "you're about to lose a leg" mode. Your dog sounds like a very good girl, and I'm sorry for your loss. Sometimes I wish a mother effer would. Your dog. Oh, a motherfucker finally is also their dog. This made me giggle. Rest in peace puppy, sad face. My dog, if she was still around, would have waited for the person to enter and demand pats. One afternoon someone knocked at my back door. I thought it was the guy coming to read our meter, so I opened the door. Next thing I know, 2 huge guys pushed into the house, and one of them threw me up against the wall. Then they shoved me down on the couch. They told me they were Hell's Angels, and they were pissed because my boyfriend was selling too much drugs, cutting into their profits. They kept calling me by my next door neighbor's name. We had suspected they were selling drugs. All of the people stopping by for less than 5 minutes made it pretty obvious. I just kept telling them I wasn't her. One of them searched the house, while the other kept me pinned to the couch. They started to realize they were in the wrong house, because they couldn't find anything where they were told it was. My neighbor's house is a single floor, with a basement. My house is a 4-level, back split. Then I showed them my mail, because it showed my name, and they knew. They fricked up. They started telling me that they were after my neighbor's boyfriend, because he raped their cousin. Which I knew was BS, but I didn't care. I just wanted them to leave. They robbed me of my cash, and left. I now have locks on my screen doors. Damn, they got the wrong house and still robbed your ass. That's BS. I guess they didn't want to leave without something. Whoa, what a bunch of poses. That's some PTSD inducing it. Sorry that happened to you, sad face. Thanks. Scared the crap out of me. At the end of the day, I wasn't hurt. I'll put that in the win category. Not exactly alone, but I was home with my newborn son and someone knocked on the front door. I was expecting my mother, but she usually comes in through the garage. I thought it was strange, but yelled come in. Because why wouldn't I? Then this cracked out old woman comes stumbling through the door and asks me for a ride to the nearest gas station. I told her I didn't have a car seat for my son so I couldn't go anywhere. So she starts screaming that's just inappropriate and doesn't stop even when I'm telling her she needs to leave or I'll call the cops. After a minute or so, my mother actually pulls in the driveway. The crackhead sees a car and bolts back out the door, and I never see her again. That night my truck got broken into. Can't for sure say it was the same woman, but I have her description to the cops anyway. That's why I lock my doors when I'm home. I don't understand why anyone would ever keep the front door of their house unlocked. They must live in a utopia or something. A few years back I was home alone during a power storm. I went into the bathroom to take a dump and at the exact time I was eating I sneezed. Well, the power went out as well. The house was pitch black and I literally thought I ate myself blind. I couldn't see my hands so in a panic I was yelling no this cannot be true. I was in a panic feeling for the toilet paper to wipe and flush. After completing the task I just sat on the toilet trying to figure out how to tell everyone I know that I literally ate myself blind by sneezing while eating. After about 2 minutes of complete darkness and dread and panic lightning struck outside and lit up my hallway. Best damn feeling ever. I'm literally trying to read this to my boyfriend while laughing hysterically and as I was rereading it I started to cry. I laughed so hard. Congratulations. You sir have officially made me go into a laughing fit for a solid 5 minutes. I was chilling on the couch, doing whatever, when suddenly a really heavy person starts sprinting in our attic. Sounded like steel-toed boots and everything. I'm a really small woman, so I immediately freaked out, thinking there's a gigantic man stomping around my home. Then the screaming starts. Literal freaking screaming, like something from The Exorcist. And there's multiple voices. I sneaked outside and cried, extremely shaken, and called the cops. Guess what's in my attic? Not a big rapist, no. Raccoons. Also, the raccoons were mating. That's what the screaming came from. I bawled to the cops about horny raccoons. Years ago, a raccoon had crawled into my outside garbage can and could not get out. Meanwhile, I decided to take the garbage out before I went to bed. I didn't turn on a light, because I'm a grown man and ain't no monster in the dark gonna scare me. But, my garbage growled at me in the dark and I almost shit my pants. I went inside and turned in the outside light and saw the little guy. I tipped the can on its side and he ran off and I bought some bungee cords to secure my can lid. I'll bet the cops were rather delighted for it to be horny raccoons rather than a man murdering some person in your attic. A lot less paperwork, and they still got to kill time. Okay Reddit guys, please subscribe, or I will visit your at home when you are alone.